Hey, I'm Christy Mitchell, and welcome to Unfudge Your Marketing, the podcast where we talk about what really happens when marketing doesn't go according to plan. Every week, I sit down with business owners and leaders to unpack the missteps, the experiments that didn't land, and the decisions they'd probably rethink if given a do-over. But more importantly, we talk about what they learned on the other side and what you can take with you as you build your own business. Success rarely comes from getting it right the first time. It comes from taking action, making mistakes, adjusting, and showing up again and again. If you've ever wondered whether you're the only one figuring this out as you go, you're in the right place. I am so excited to welcome Meg Tyo to the show today. Meg is a clinical social worker and photographer, otherwise known as a phototherapist. She combines social work values with fine art photography to provide services primarily to older adults. Meg uses photo sessions and images to honor and celebrate legacy, foster positive sense of self, help clients navigate transitions and cope with loss, and to advocate against ageism. With that, I will welcome Meg to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We have been in each other's worlds for at least a couple, if not more years at this point.
Yes,
We originally met through the Next Level Collective here in Rochester. And yeah, I have been so excited to play just a small part of your journey. But just honestly, I love following you on social media. As everyone knows, I'm big on LinkedIn. And I love that you post your beautiful photos and stories on LinkedIn. I absolutely love seeing your content. And I'll give you the chance at the end to share all the things for people to follow you. But I just want to give that little plug. I highly recommend people follow you because the stuff that you post is just, it's so unique and so different. And it warms my heart and brightens my day every time I see your posts.
Thank you so much. And I feel like I owe my start with marketing on social media to you because when we met, but the first time we met was at Next Level Collective when they had you come and speak about marketing strategies. And that was when I was very first starting out and had no idea where to even start. And so that was so helpful.
Yes. Oh, that's so sweet. Yes. And I know you have been so incredibly kind to tell me, how your marketing journey has gone since you attended that session. And I know you've sung my praises here locally to other business owners. So I always really appreciate that. I'm really excited to have this conversation today, Meg, because when we talked about you coming on the show, you mentioned, kind of when you first started marketing your business online, you really didn't have a plan. You were just kind of winging it. As a lot of people like to say in the marketing world, throwing spaghetti at the wall. So why don't you kind of take us back to, give us a little background, I guess, first, like how long have you been in business? When did your marketing journey start? And we'll just kind of start there.
Yeah, sure. So I started my business in 2019, which was a really fun time to start trying to work directly with older adults. So not the best right before COVID, but started at that time kind of casually. I was still working full-time as a medical social worker at that time too. So wasn't necessarily focused on this is my full livelihood marketing strategy, but really wanting to start building that base and put myself out there. And I think in my mind, I had this idea of I take pictures that I think people will like. I'm just going to put them out there and the people will come. And that's actually not what happened at all. And so it took, I think, a really long time of feeling really discouraged and feeling really frustrated about, hey, I'm here, I'm putting this out there and nothing is happening. To realize, oh, wait, I can't actually just throw this spaghetti at the wall and hope it sticks. I need to actually have a plan. And mental health wise for me now too, as a full-time business owner working only for me, right? If I don't have a plan, nobody's going to tell me the plan. The plan is all on me. And so having kind of a haphazard non-strategy strategy was actually really stressful.
Yes. Yeah, I can imagine, right? Because now you've made that transition to do your business full time. So there's even more riding on it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And it's less of a, like, I have this structured job that I go to every day. And then, like, here's this extra thing that I actually really love doing that I get to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing that those two things are now one thing, right? But now the structure has to come from me.
Yes. Yeah, I love that point. And I think that so often the marketing stress that business owners feel, sometimes I think it's quiet and slow burning. Depending on maybe your financial situation or whether you still, are in a full-time thing and doing your business part-time, whatever the circumstances might be. But I think sometimes it can be easy to kind of ignore the stress and just like maybe believe that like that's just how marketing is. Like it's always going to feel stressful. It's always going to feel like I should be doing more and I'm not doing more and I don't know exactly what I should be doing.
Yep.
And as you know, I'm on a mission to change that for business.
Yeah. And for me initially, right, I think one, because of the nature of I did have a separate full-time job. This was not my full-time job. But two, because it was stressful, like when things are stressful, I think I'll just do it tomorrow. Right. So like,
Yes.
I'm a mental health therapist. And so I spend all day talking with people about not doing that. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, that sounds hard. Maybe another day. And so where I was getting to, this was a couple of years ago, but I was getting to the point where I'd be like, I haven't posted on socials in weeks. Like I need to get something out there. Yeah. I would get this like burst of energy and post like 10 things in one day and then be like, well, I did that. I guess I'm done for a while. Right. Not a strategy. Yeah. Really stressful. And something that was kind of always in the back of my mind, like, oh, you should have posted today, but it's 10 p.m. Like, I guess it's tomorrow. And then tomorrow, like life happens, stuff happens.
Yes.
Right. And it just wasn't consistent.
Yeah. And I think that is something that so many business owners can resonate with, Meg, is that we avoid the thing that doesn't feel good and causes us stress. And we're like, that'll be tomorrow's problem. And I see it all the time with marketing because marketing is one of those things that most business owners just don't want to do because usually really what it comes down to is because they don't know what they should be doing.
Exactly. And this has come up so much. Like I'm in a separate small business networking group that meets once a month. And one of the things that comes up for us all the time is that most of us were trained in a career path, right? So we weren't trained in general to be business owners, right? My undergrad degrees in photography, my master's is in social work. I don't know marketing. I don't know. I'm not an accountant, right? Like all of the stuff that comes with running a business, right? I networked with somebody who is a physician, but working in a separate small business now. She's like, I'm a doctor. I'm not a marketer, right? I'm not an accountant either. And so most of the small business people that at least I come across with in my circles, we are people who have, I don't know if a skill is the right word, but like a specific background. Yeah. Right? In business and marketing and communications is usually not in there at all. Yes. And so like I know, right? I want to do this thing. Here is my niche in the world. Here's where I fit. But then, okay, I can do it, but now what? Yes. Yeah. How do you structure the business and all of the systems that you need in terms of, like you said, marketing, accounting, right? We wear all these hats and we have to get all these kind of systems going if we want to be successful in business, which is hard. Yeah, it is hard. So with your marketing journey, again, I think a lot of people can resonate with like, we like did a whole bunch of stuff. We got super motivated one day. We got all this content out and then we went silent for a while. It's this kind of, right, like these drastic kind of ups and downs. Yep. And getting to that place of finding consistency can be so incredibly challenging. So what kind of, I guess, was there like a turning point for you in terms of like recognizing like this is not sustainable and I can't just keep pushing it to the back burner and I can't just keep doing these like spikes of activity and not activity? Like what was kind of the turning point for you? Yeah, I think a few things. The first one just being realizing that this was really stressful, right? And that maybe it didn't have to be. And so I think for me, the first way to kind of tone down stress is information gathering, right? And so that's where you came in. It's like, ooh, she's going to teach me about marketing. And then hearing you talk about it, I was like, wait, this is actually not scary. Like, these are concepts I can follow, right? You gave such a nice, like, clear outline of here's some strategies to use. And for me, that was something that made it feel, I guess, manageable in a sense, right? Not something that was this huge, scary thing that we're like, well, I'm never gonna be able to do that. So we'll just like keep doing what we're doing. And then in July of last year, I became fully self-employed. So I got my clinical social work license, moved into private practice kind of unexpectedly. That's a whole nother story, but kind of really sitting down and figuring out what actually works for me, what works for my schedule. And so I had been shifting my marketing plan prior to that, but having that time that was just mine now, like I designate, usually Mondays are my day. So I'll set aside at least 4 hours in the afternoon on Monday to do like all my admin stuff and make sure just to schedule my content. And I have a plan. So I have my calendar for the month. Usually I have written out ahead of time, like, okay, here's the content I want to post. And then in those blocks, however many I can get done in a block, right? Making sure I'm at least like a week out so I'm not scrambling. Getting my stuff scheduled, making sure that it connects with now maybe what's going on, right? Looking at, okay, what's happening in the world? What's happening? Is it like one of those weird holidays? Like those kind of things. Can I build a plan around like events that are happening in our community? And then sprinkling in through there like session spotlights, right? So every time I schedule a photo session, I add to my calendar post. And so now I have a more concrete way of making sure that, obviously with permission from clients, that once I'm done with their shoot and their gallery, that is in now my marketing plan too. And so having that more concrete plan, having it planned out in advance, and then trying to tie like my emails, my blog content into that a couple of times a month just feels so much better.
Oh my gosh, Meg, like these were so like, it's such gold. It's so simple. And I think this is where business owners so often make it more complicated in their heads, right? And so you're like, hey, I recognize this thing was stressing me. I kept putting it off, but I also knew that it was really critical for me and my business to like get this right. And so you said, okay, what do I need to do? I need to start by gathering information. I absolutely love that. And I love how you tie it back to the practice of how you work with clients. So yeah, gathering information and then figuring out like, okay, where do I go from here? And for you, that was attending a session to learn. I'm sure you probably did some additional research and then you're like, okay, I have the information. I'm going to come up with my plan. I'm going to block the time on my calendar. And my goal is going to be to work a week in advance, which I'll just stop and say, I'm the same way. I always just try and do a week ahead. If I can do a week ahead, I feel good going into the week. If I haven't done it, then I always feel like I'm scrambling. And I think sometimes business owners, you know, they hear this whole notion of like, batch creating, right? And so they're like, okay, well, I got to sit down and do like a whole month's worth of content. Like it doesn't have to be that involved. It could just be a week ahead. But I also love, Meg, that you're saying not only do you do that, but you do look ahead in terms of these sessions that you have with clients and knowing that you're always going to post about those things in some of those upcoming holidays or certain times of year or awareness months or whatever kind of pertains to your business. It sounds like you've really put together this plan that isn't overly structured and rigid and strict, because that might make you not want to do it, but is enough structure that gives you that like, okay, this is what I have to do every week.
Yes. And I think, 100%. And having the schedule too, having that time set aside is huge. And that really dictates like how much I know I have to do, right? So like I have a week off at the end of this month. And so I know, okay, when I get to my Monday coming up on that week off, I am also now responsible for the first week of July, right? But so knowing that, I can put my laptop down, I can close my calendar, go on my vacation, and just know like, oh, that's already done, right? Like I don't have to be thinking about that. And so if I have extra time, I can get ahead. If I don't have time, and there's a lot going on, I can look at my calendar and say, oh, it's actually fine though, because here's a little window of time. Even if it's half an hour, next Monday, I can get caught up, right? It helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And this is a conversation we've actually had inside my, used to be called the marketing support groups, now called the collective. But we have this conversation, and I'm pretty sure I actually wrote a blog about it. Now that we're like having this conversation, I'm like, I think I might have wrote a blog about this, where it's like when you get to those busy seasons, whether it's like, hey, I have so many clients right now, I can barely keep up with my marketing, or I'm getting ready to take a vacation, or God forbid, there's a personal crisis, right, that's demanding a lot of our time. I always encourage people to find that, like, what are the non-negotiables for your marketing? Like, what are the things that have to happen regardless of what else is going on? And then what are kind of the nice to haves? Because then I think it gives you that clear, like, okay, there is a little bit of leeway when life gets crazy or business gets, you know, overflowing, which is a great problem to have, but we do always still want to have at least some of those marketing things running in the background, because that's where we run into trouble, is when we, you know, things do get crazy and we just let the whole thing come to a screeching halt. And then the next thing we know, we finished up all the client projects we had and we're sitting there like, oh shoot, I let my marketing go and here I am with the dry pipeline.
Yep, exactly. And I think, like, especially, I'm sure it's this way for you too, but for me, I have 2 businesses, right? I'm a therapist in private practice and a photographer. And so neither one is predictable, right? I can guess that like October to December is busy for both, right? But I did not predict that January would be my busiest month of the year, right? That's usually the outcome. And so this week I'm quiet on the photo shoot front, but I'm full in therapy, right? And then sometimes it switches, but there's never a predictable, like, okay, this week I'm going to have a consistent amount of work. There's always work, but the amount and the scale of which it is, I have no idea what's coming, right? That's a week to week thing usually for me.
Yeah.
And so to have like a stable foundation of, okay, no matter what happens this week or whatever's going on next week, I at least have my foundation of, here's my content, here's how I'm presenting myself to people. Like, that stability when everything else is just kind of wild is really helpful mentally for me.
Yes. Yeah, I love that point. So I'm curious, like, let's get into some specifics. Because I have my own, but like, what are your kind of, I mean, I call them non-negotiables, but like, what are those things in marketing that you always make sure you get done?
So I'm not a very good limit setter. And so for me, like, I feel like if I put it on my calendar, right, I want it out there. I want to make sure I put myself out there. I think posting consistently has been a really important one for me. And I think something that has been really eye-opening too is understanding that, like, the reach of what your content, what you put out there, is not directly correlated to the engagement, right? So I will put something up on, like, I don't know, Instagram, right? Facebook, LinkedIn, get a couple, like, literally sometimes like 2 or 3, but then I'll go to a networking event with like my client base and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I see your posts all the time. I love it. Right. I love your content. I really appreciated how you shared this and this and this. Yeah. So that reinforcement to me, right? If I just looked at it and thought like, oh, I only got 2 likes, like I should just not even bother. Yeah. But then realizing, okay, even if people aren't pressing that button, which I wish they would, but right, I don't know how you ask for that. Like, if you say you like it in real life, can you actually just press a tiny click? It's not that hard.
Sometimes I say that to people. I'm like, oh, you saw it? Why didn't you comment on it?
Yeah, where's the likes? But I have my family does my most of it for me, right? They know, like, oh, she put something up. We gotta like that. We're gonna help. And that's hugely helpful. But for me, it's the reinforcement of hearing people say, wait, I saw your post on this. I loved this. This made me think about this. Yes. Like, this brought up this memory for me. Do you want to come to our event? Yes, 100%. Right. Yeah. And so I guess the non-negotiable for me is just being a consistent presence, like showing up on platforms.
Yeah. So just, you know, for benefit of listeners, are those your 3 platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yes. Yeah, I struggle because every day I'm like, do I need a TikTok? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And
it's the constant struggle with marketing.
But
there's always more options.
Yes. And like, where else? Like, so obviously you can just use Meta to post Facebook and Instagram, right? That's easy enough. And then usually I'm just repurposing the same content in a slightly different format for LinkedIn. So that's like a pretty easy 2-step process.
Yep.
But like the thought of like, I keep hearing even from like friends and other business owners that like, oh, I've gotten so many referrals or so much content and so much engagement and contact from TikTok, but like this is enough time.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know. It's just so hard. It's hard.
It is. And this is something we've talked about on the show before with other guests, is this like, oh, other people saying like, oh, you should do this or you should do that, or you just seeing other people who, whether they're in a similar industry or not, you see them doing something else and you're like, oh, maybe I should be doing that. And I'm always a big believer in, you need to do what's right for you and your business. And I was going to make this point earlier when you talked about like the consistency piece and like really committing to, well, I was going to ask you this. How many days a week do you post?
Oof. So I try to do every weekday. And this is something I struggle with too. Like, am I like, I don't know. I feel like this is such like a personal thing, but I always feel like I'm kind of like invading people's space. Like I'm bothering people. Right. And like, am I getting annoying? Am I on your feeds too much? Like, but then that's what if people don't want to see, don't follow, I guess. Right.
Yes.
But
yeah, for sure.
I have found, I think that for me, that window of consistency
5 days a week
has been helpful just for me to get into a routine, to know like, hey, okay, no matter what else is happening, like I showed up a little bit, right? I made myself known to the internet, whatever that means.
Yes. Yeah.
And like, I feel like just engagement, I don't know if this is a real thing or not, but engagement seems to be better when I'm consistent.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to make that point earlier when you had said like, oh, I used to go on these waves of like posting 10 things and then not posting at all. And it's always better to be consistent. And so it ties into this whole discussion about like, pick the platforms you're going to show up on.
Yep.
Don't overcommit yourself.
Yep.
See what you can be consistent with. And that's, again, where when I'm working with clients, I'm like, okay, well, what's realistic? If you haven't been posting at all, like, let's do 1 or 2 days a week and like pick the days and the times and stick to them and be consistent. And then if you can do that for a period of time, then think about adding another platform. But that's really where I see business owners get themselves into like this overcommitting and overwhelm of like, there's too many things and I can't keep up with it. So I think being specific about those goals, how often are you showing up? What platforms are you showing up on? Remembering, to your point, Meg, that even if the numbers don't look as nice as you want them to, people are seeing you. There are always people out there who are seeing it and they're not engaging. And something else I wanted to bring up to this point that you said, sometimes I have people tell me like, yeah, well, people don't find me on LinkedIn or on social media. That's not where they find me. Okay, they might not find you there. I'd still argue some people are finding you and you don't know that they are. But even if it's just a matter of the people who already know you are seeing you, just like you said, you go to these in-person events and you're like, I see your photos all the time. Like, okay, does it matter that new people aren't finding you on LinkedIn? But the people who know you are like, Meg is top of mind. If there's ever an opportunity where there's photos that need to be taken of senior citizens, like you are the first person that's coming to mind for me because you show up consistently. So I think that's really important for people to remember, is like, it's not just about the numbers. It's not just about like, oh, no one ever finds me there. Like they might not, but that's part of the nurture part of your funnel that I talk about all the time.
And I think that just goes hand in hand, right? I am not like a put yourself out there always kind of person, right? Like I am literally a listener for a living for a reason, right? And like I am the person, like my favorite place to be is like a fly on the wall at an event with my camera, just observing, right? And like putting yourself consistently in a spot where you're like, hi, I'm over here, like feels weird. But like showing up at events, right? Just literally having a presence, even if it's just having a coffee and chatting with somebody, or, you know, just making an effort to like let people see your face or let people see your content. That to me has been the biggest thing that has been helpful in business. It hasn't been like any one particular, like, oh, I had this one shoot and it changed everything, right? Or it's just, I think that consistency that's been the most useful.
Consistency and allowing yourself to be visible, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Even if it's a little uncomfortable.
It's just a weird thing. Yeah. But a necessary thing, right? You have to.
Yes.
Now, if you want to work. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, Meg, we have covered so much great information, so many great tips for listeners. As we get ready to wrap up this conversation, is there any last piece of advice you want to leave?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I think for me, at least, like I've said, the most helpful thing is having a plan, right? And having information. And so if something feels really overwhelming, okay, what can you learn about it? Who can help you? Right. I am not somebody who wants to like hand over my marketing to somebody else because I don't know. I just don't want to. Right. But like, are there other things that you could hand over to somebody else that you aren't as personally invested in to free up some time on your schedule? Right. To have that window to focus on, here's how I'm presenting myself. And like you said, how can you do it consistently? Just coming up with a plan that works for you. That's the only thing that's been like really game changing for me.
Yeah. I think the thing about a plan too is I see it being just as important to be clear on what you are doing, but the plan also lets you to be clear on what you're not doing. If it's not on the plan, we're not doing it. At least for a period of time, because it gives you that permission to stay focused and intentional and really try and execute consistently before you add on something new to that.
Yeah. And like you said too, right? You don't want to overwhelm yourself. Like every day when I think, okay, should I have a TikTok? I look at my calendar and I go, but when am I going to film a TikTok? What am I even going to put on TikTok? Who even wants to see me editing photos on TikTok? Like, no, right? That does not fit in the plan. That does not fit in my calendar. Yes. And so what works for now is where we're at. And obviously if that changes, that can change, right? That can change, but
yeah. The other thing too with that, I thought of this earlier when you were saying that, like, I don't know, should I be on TikTok? Other people think I should. Like, that's the other challenge too, I think, when we consider adding on another marketing tactic is really thinking through what would this require of me? Because being on a platform like TikTok is so vastly different than pictures and text that you could be posting on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Correct.
So looking at that tactic through the lens of like, can I repurpose what I'm already doing in like a streamlined way, especially now that we have AI for a lot of stuff like that? Or is this going to require a totally different plan and time and strategy? And is that realistic?
Nope. Not for me, at least.
For you, not right now. Yeah.
And is my target audience on TikTok? I don't think so.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Great point. Oh my gosh, Meg. I feel like we could just keep going. We could talk forever.
Thank you so much.
So awesome. Thank you so much for your willingness to come on the show and share your experiences and your insights. I know they have been immensely helpful to those listening. Very lastly, I want to give you the chance. How can people learn more about you and the wonderful, beautiful work that you do?
Yes, thank you. So my business is Sweet Home Photography. So my website is sweethomephotorock.com. On Instagram at Sweet Home Photo Rock, on Facebook, Sweet Home Photography Rochester, I think. There you go. That's a marketing fail for the day. Find me on Facebook, and then LinkedIn, Meg Tyo.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Meg. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, everybody.